Welcome, everyone, to A Mexican Crossing Lines with your host, Cindy Gomez-Schempp.
And Duke Gomez-Schempp.
You're listening to 88.1 FM, KPPPLP, Fargo, Moorhead, where we are adding local color to your airwaves. And on this very beautiful May 11th, I want to welcome you to the show. The weather is starting to change. We just had a pretty chilly Mother's Day weekend. I want to send a lot of love to all the moms out there. Hope you guys had a great weekend. And I couldn't help but thinking over the weekend about the families that are being destroyed, the families that are being burdened with this disease, and how just sad and lonely it is how many people have just recently lost their mothers. And, you know, frankly, I saw so many celebrations with moms, especially older ones, that really worried me. I mean, some of them were fine. We watched a news report locally, people going to see their mother at a nursing home, and they stayed far away from her. Kind of just, you know, sat on blankets outside her door and talked from a distance. But there were a lot of other parties, I mean, I guess gatherings for Mother's Day where multiple children and grandkids and everybody all got together with moms. And I hate to think of any of those people getting sick as a result of, you know, hanging out with their family over the weekend. But we are reopening the country, for better or for worse, and it's not going very well.
No.
It's not going very well. It feels like we're taking one step forward and two steps back. That's the title of my show today. I want to thank everyone for sending me your comments, your questions, and also to local groups, nonprofits, and all sorts of folks that have been engaging their community, people they want to reach through the radio, through our station. So thank you for all of you who are engaging with 88.1 FM. Keep it coming. Duke, how can folks get a hold of us?
Well, they can get a hold of us many ways. One way, if you'd like to give us a call and leave a message on our message line, you can call 701-566-0917. That's 701-566-0917. You can email Cindy at kpppfm.com or me, Duke, at kpppfm.com. We also have a website, kpppfm.com. Feel free to go there and look around at our programming, our past program, and also support our work by going to the donation tab and making a tax-deductible donation. We also have a YouTube channel, Duke1517. We're multi-streaming on Facebook and YouTube at the same time. Duke1517 is the YouTube channel. And on Facebook, it's 88.1 FM Fargo Moorhead Radio. We also have Mexi-Can and the People's Press Project. Enjoy the show tonight. It's a beautiful Monday evening. The sun is out here. The snow didn't hit us this weekend. It hit a lot of other parts of our area. But we're just kind of sitting there, cold weather, but sunny.
Yes, it's sunny, and I'm looking forward to the warm up in the rest of the week, so that we can go and finish our gardening, plant our plants, which were supposed to go out this weekend, but just
Yep.
wasn't hospitable out there for baby plants, so we had to keep them inside. I hope everyone had a good time this weekend. Let's take a look at what our numbers are around the globe. Currently, in the entire world, we are over 4 million cases worldwide now. We've reached 4,171,859 cases, 285,690 deaths globally. In the United States, we have 1,384 cases. 1,385,798 cases. 81,790 deaths. And 260,734 people have recovered. What does it look like in our state?
Yeah, I was just going to say that the number of people that died was 93 people in the past hour in the United States from
Wow.
when we first brought these up. And what's happening in Minnesota is we have 9,365 confirmed cases, and that's an increase of 481 people since yesterday. And deaths, there was an additional 20 deaths in the past day. That the deaths are 508. And in our county, we've had a few more deaths. We've had 17 deaths. That's 3 more than we had, a couple days ago. And we have 247 positive cases in Cass County. Cass County is a county that we live in. So also we are straddling the county with Fargo, Cass County. In North Dakota, there's been 27 more individuals who have come down with the COVID-19 for 1,518 cases. There was another man who died in Cass County. That's our county. And it's one more individual, and total deaths are 36. Now, the county, Cass County, is 16 people. It's actually smaller than most of the days. We're in their 20s, 30s, and 40s, but just on Mother's Day, there's only 16 people who tested positive.
And there's a shortage of tests in North Dakota.
Yep.
There's a shortage of testing equipment in North Dakota. We've reported recently that testing had to be canceled. And a lot of people were really upset about it because it wasn't announced that they were canceling it until people had basically the last minute. So people that drove from other towns and stuff, they were pretty upset. And, during the pandemic, we have a lot of different shortages, I guess, of what's happening close by. Oh, we've got a lawsuit in North Dakota of people who are suing the State Department for rules that prohibit sale of homemade meals and food products such as canned green beans.
Oh, yeah.
Like you see there in the
Canned
photograph.
green beans. There's a law against it.
Well, there is. Several North Dakotans are suing the State Department of Health for their right to sell homemade food products and meals. Plaintiffs in the lawsuit that was filed earlier this year in Burleigh County District Court argue rules that the Health Department implemented January 1st prohibit them from selling homemade meals and food products that were once allowed by the Cottage Food Act. The legislation that was approved in 2017 allowed certain homemade goods to be sold without inspection or licensing. We really feel like people should be able to sell and make money selling their products from home, and consumers should have a choice, said Danielle Mickelson, a Rolla resident who is one of the original plaintiffs in the case. The coronavirus pandemic has made the right to sell homemade products more important since supply is becoming an issue. Representative Luke Simmons, a Republican from Dickinson who backed the Cottage Food Act, said the rules are a huge blow, adding implementing them against the will of the legislature is about control. He called the plaintiffs in the case heroic and he hopes more will join the lawsuit. When you have a government that believes that they should protect people from themselves, that's a problem, he said. In a free country, I don't have the right to tell you what you can and cannot do with your own body and to your own person. What do you think about that, Duke?
Well, it's a conflicting message with North Dakota. They're all about reversing legislation that people have passed from referendums and from ballot initiatives. Them going in and changing the rules just because they can. Their legislature. Um, they also have these policies and laws that they created supposedly to protect you for your protection. Food issues where you're selling something that's you have a dirty kitchen. People can get sick. I mean, it was all supposedly based on that. Actually, I believe it's based on control. But the state goes both ways. One time it'll say that people should be able to choose for themselves, and another time they're like, you can't choose for yourselves because we're the state and we know best. So they're paternalistic, and I think they're a bit schizophrenic.
I think right now during the pandemic and with the food shortages that we're seeing, buying from local farmers, buying from local CSAs, buying from people that are canning and putting stuff up. I know that during this pandemic, I mean, I've been making food and sharing it with our neighbors. And that's just something that we always do. And when I don't have something, I ask them. When they don't have something, they ask us. And by the way, there are a whole bunch of things that have been scarce, like disinfectant wipes, bleach, toilet paper, meat. Um, it's about time that the power was back in the hands of people to make their own decisions about what they want to eat.
That's right. I believe all that too. But the state actually is not going to be able to do much enforcement anyways. And things do need to change. One of the hardest things for people right now is to really look at things and say, things are never going to be that normal that we used to think we had. We don't even know how things are going to change and turn out, and things are going to be different. And you're totally right. When you don't have things, you're going to get them from people that do. And they're also, it's around making money too. If you can make money off of growing your food and selling your food, the state wants a piece of that too. They want to be able to tax you and all sorts of things. That's another reason why they did all these rules. And I think they're going to find they're not going to be able to enforce many, many things. And if people want to legitimize it by changing the laws and do that stuff, that's great. But we're going to end up doing a lot of stuff that we're not even going to go ask the authorities whether we can do it. We're just going to do it.
Yes, and just like the rest of the country, we have a lot of folks that are pretty upset about reopening. In this post about North Dakota Nice, I'm keeping their name out of it. They posted, "Don't give me that North Dakota Nice today." With the coronavirus cases on the rise in North Dakota, with testing supplies in North Dakota in short supply, with news that children across the nation are now coming down with a new or same virus, with death increasing across the state, the governor removes some travel restrictions and other safety measures. What the heck is he thinking? He increases the risk of death to adults and now children. May God, what do our state leaders think reducing safeguards just as the danger is increasing? What indeed, and
Yep.
in Minnesota, we have restrictions lifting as well. By the way, folks, the fishing opener happened in Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
And what did Governor Walz say about that? Did he let people from out of state come in, or was it just fishing for the Minnesotans?
I don't know what actually happened. He said he didn't want out-of-staters coming in.
No, he didn't. But I
And
don't
I
know
don't know
if
if he
that
made it. I don't know if
changed.
he made a policy that said you couldn't come, because a lot of those North Dakotans are property owners in Minnesota. They're not
Mm-hmm.
residents in Minnesota, but they're property owners in Minnesota because they have, this homestead, non-homestead acts property thing going on.
And despite all the cold, I know there was a lot of people going to their lake cabins this
Yeah.
weekend, right? I
Right.
mean, come on, that doesn't stop. Um, Closer to home, right here in Moorhead, Minnesota, another Latina. And I say another Latina because I interviewed someone last week. Um, excuse me, week before last, I interviewed Oscar Zurita the
Mm-hmm.
third. Him and his entire family, all Mexican ancestry, they tested positive for COVID. Um, you'll be happy to know Oscar is out of the woods. He's gotten past the 14 days. He's starting to get stronger. He's starting to feel a little bit better. I was just in touch with him earlier today. Um, but it turns out, and you know, I really commend Oscar for having the courage to step forward and tell his story. Other people reached out to him and told them their stories of going through COVID. Here is one that is rather heartbreaking. This woman, another Moorhead resident, she posted this on her page. I got my results back for COVID-19. I tested positive. For those of you wondering what it's like, it's painful. Body aches, migraines, nausea. You can't smell nor taste. You feel very tired, fatigue. You feel like giving up. I've called 911 for my roommate's baby twice, and they didn't help her. I called for myself, and I had a fever of 100, which I never get. I felt as if I was going to die. They had told me I should stop calling. There's nothing they can do. I'm just exposing them. When they left, I began throwing up. But I'm not losing hope. COVID-19 is not a death sentence. Right now, I'll focus on how to get better, and I'll continue by trusting God. Stay prayed up. May the Lord cover your homes. So please, for those that are going through what I am, please share some home remedies. I am ready.
Hmm.
I'm sorry to say that since she made that post, this local Latina whose name I'm keeping private because she is currently in the hospital and has been placed on a ventilator. So we continue to have very serious cases very close to home.
Mm-hmm.
And North Dakotans' numbers they're not good.
No.
Cass County
Yep.
has nearly 1 in 10 people. 1 in 10 people are testing positive, a rate of 2.5 times.
Wow.
And people are pretty upset about this. You know, they see businesses opening up, restaurants. Check out one local restaurant owner's post about going and getting fast food. I went to grab takeout today from a local restaurant. There were signs posted upon entering and inside asking people to stay 6 feet apart, but the waiting area was pretty small. A family of 4 adults, 2 kids over the age of
18.
18, two kids.
Yep. 2 kids over 18, and they all felt the need to congregate inside to wait for their food. They also felt the need to peek over the counter with their faces right up in everything that was being made, asking for more of this, more of that. And all of this there was not a single mask to be seen. 2 generations of clueless people. Then a woman walked in with her 4 or 5-year-old, and they weren't wearing masks. This, my friends, is a problem. No regard whatsoever when it comes to others around you. I am a believer that we can safely start to open up the city if people can follow a few suggested guidelines. Unfortunately, for everyone, it seems like even the most basic of rules are just too hard for people to follow.
I don't know if it's that they can't follow rules. Clearly, we can follow rules. I mean,
Yeah.
look at what they did in airports after
Oh yeah.
somebody wore a shoe bomb. We
Yeah,
can
that's
we
right. We take our belts off, our shoes off.
You do the hokey pokey and you turn yourself around.
Exactly. Uh-huh.
But the fact is, people are divided. They don't want to wear masks. They don't want to protect others. They feel like their rights are being violated. Take a look at what one local shopper experienced when going to buy diapers at Target. The amount of people I see not wearing masks when I make necessary errands just makes me really, really sad. There's a message I get from that of I just don't care enough about other people or this virus or whatever to bother to wear a mask. It makes me so sad. I had to get diapers at Target yesterday and I saw the diligent workers there who were wearing gloves, masks, and even disinfected the belt between each customer no matter how many items they had. Sure, the argument can be made that the workers are forced to do that, but it doesn't matter. They were still doing it, which in my eyes is above and beyond. But person after person after person in line to check out were not wearing their masks, just not giving a rip at all. I could have cried about it all. My heart was so sad, is so sad about the lack of caring for others. It is heartbreaking. And what's more heartbreaking than seeing that lack of concern for others is the fact that businesses are going to be affected by this. How do you think that businesses are going to fare when you have crazy people walking into the store and shooting a guard in the head for asking people to wear a mask?
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel that business employees are going to feel when they're harangued or harassed for disinfecting, for handing out masks, for telling people to take precautions during a pandemic, which they're ordered to do in many places? Do you realize that many of these businesses are not allowed by law to open and operate without making everyone disinfect their hands and wear masks in the store? And yet, people just don't get it. In the news, shortly after opening, is an ice cream parlor that shut down just one day. One day. That's as long as they were able to operate because the public was harassing their employees. This was in Massachusetts. An ice cream parlor, Duke,
Wow.
of all places,
Yeah.
forced to close its doors just one day after reopening. The Polar Cave Ice Cream Parlor in Mashpee, Massachusetts, made the decision to close its doors on Fridays after customers reportedly harassed and disrespected the store's young employees. These are grown people harassing teenagers at an ice cream store. One of my best workers quit yesterday after the end of her shift, said the shop owner. The words she was called and the language you couldn't even say in a men's locker room. And to say it to a 17-year-old kid, they should be ashamed of themselves. Indeed. Fortunately, someone started a GoFundMe for her to benefit her college fund. But it's sad. And we have the same types of attitudes right here at home. Take a look at what some locals posted about their experience going to a favorite local meat shop on University Avenue. What did they say, Duke?
Went to my favorite meat place on University this past Sunday. It's a small store. None of the employees were wearing masks. There was no customer limit on how many could be inside. There were 9 customers inside, including myself. I was one of the 2 people wearing masks in the entire place. Made me nervous that there were no obvious precautions being taken by the business or the customers. They're the nicest people running that place with great service and products, but it scares me going there. Am I going overboard being nervous about this? And then someone replies, yes, we prefer to buy our meat there. But when I went by last Sunday morning, it was a madhouse and a big nope for me. My husband went back later and said it was a little bit better, but but he waited for one person to come out before going in. They need to be managing that so much better.
They
I agree.
And it's a shame because here's the thing. For every individual that decides they don't want to wear a mask inside of a store, you're not only ruining the shopping experiences of the rest of the customers, especially those that are vulnerable to getting very ill and or dying from this disease. You are ruining the business of that shop, of that store, because did you read the whole thing, the second comment there
Yeah,
as
yeah,
well?
I sure did.
The second comment said that the person's husband went to the same store. They all know which store we're talking
Yep,
about on
exactly.
University.
Mm-hmm.
And when they went in there, when they were getting ready to go in there was so many people not wearing masks. They decided they had to come back. Guess what? Some folks aren't going to come back.
That's right.
Some folks are going to go, I can't shop there anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm showing you example after example. We're not trying to shame shop owners, but you do want to hear that feedback, don't you, shop owners?
Yeah.
Don't you businesses out there want to hear the feedback from your customers about whether or not they feel comfortable shopping at your store and what would make them feel safer in your stores? What's going to make the people come back is a business relationship of trust where you know that when you're buying at this place, okay, the food's good, the food's safe, the stuff that you're getting is high quality, and you can depend on it. If that relationship is breached, if that trust is broken because your employees have COVID, because you're not making sure to check all your employees, because you're not making sure that the people that come in your store aren't coughing in the air, aren't taking risks and putting the other customers at risk, people are going to vote with their feet and choose somewhere else to shop.
Yep.
Now, let me share with you a development that I haven't talked about. But here in South Dakota, it's been heating up. Excuse me. Here in the news, it's been heating up because South Dakota has a standoff with Governor Kristi Noem threatening the Lakota tribe that they need to remove roadblock checkpoints that they put up on, what highway is it?
All the highways. All the highways going in through the reservation. But there's a major state highway. I forget which one it is, but a U.S. highway that's the biggest highway going through that part of South Dakota.
And I had some shock to learn that one of these spokespeople quoted in the story about this impasse where Governor Noem has stated that the South Dakota tribe must remove these roadblocks. They set these roadblocks up.
They're checkpoints.
Checkpoints.
Yes.
To keep out anyone that isn't from the reservation.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot cross through reservation land right now on these highways, even if they are U.S. highways, because of these checkpoints. And the problem, of course, for the governor is that this is disrupting interstate commerce.
Mm-hmm.
And as you pointed out, Duke, it's a federal highway.
Yeah.
You know, so it's built through the reservation, but it does belong to the United States government. So the problem here isn't just that this impasse is happening. It's about how it's being politicized and twisted. First of all, the spokesperson is none other than Chase Iron Eyes, former candidate for North Dakota's Congress seat. But he failed at that attempt. He also was notorious for being one of the leaders out at Standing Rock who called people together to make a stand with the last child camp, which ended up getting a lot of people arrested, including Chase Iron Eyes himself. But it was shocking that they chose him as the person that is the spokesperson because, as you pointed out, he doesn't come from that reservation.
He's not from Cheyenne River, no.
He's not from Cheyenne River. He's Lakota. Uh,
Oh,
and he's from Bismarck.
Yeah, he claims Standing Rock is his
He
reservation.
claims Standing Rock, but that's not necessarily true.
Yep.
But the fact is that it's like they just swapped him out. How is Cheyenne River Sioux Tribe's spokesperson that is telling people to get out of their reservation, keeping people out of their reservation, and they're importing the spokesperson from another tribe?
Yeah.
That don't seem to make no sense.
No.
And here's the other thing that's very troublesome. The rhetoric that Chase Iron Eyes uses on social media to incite people to violence, to incite people to go out and face off, women included, during a pandemic. For what? What will that gain? I want to share some of the comments that he has made on his social media page so you can judge for yourself. Again, this is Chase Iron Eyes, spokesperson for the Cheyenne River Sioux Tribe, speaking about this impasse. He starts out by writing some things in Lakota, and then he says, "Big thanks for today, bearing witness to Wo Lakota protocol at Peshla. Wana, we are ready to defend treaty territory. When racists came to Lathe, North Dakota, I stood shoulder to shoulder with our Euro-American land-thieving neighbors to drive them out. Now, Kristi Noem threatened a Lakota head of state, Harold Frazier, with investigations from the Department of Justice, FBI, and other alphabet oppressors. Stand up, get ready, stay ready. This is the time, whether it's racists, criminals, rapists, or other man camp vermin, you are not allowed here." What'd you think about that?
What about people who are just traveling south to Nebraska?
What about truck drivers?
Truck drivers. What about we use those roads and we drive through these areas, and they do eminent domain. They build roads through communities all the time. Power companies lay power lines through your land all the time. In fact, if you don't have any power, if you don't have any electricity, for example, on your land, they can't pass their lines through there. But as soon as you buy their service or use their service, they have easements and things worked right in that you give up your rights to by using their products or using their stuff. If and these roads aren't private roads.
No.
If they're owned by the tribe,
Yeah,
they'd
then you
be
can shut it
maintaining them.
down.
They'd be maintaining them and doing everything with them, and they'd be toll roads. That's what a lot of private roads charge you to drive on them, because that's the way to make money to upkeep.
Well, you're speaking about whether or not this plan is effective, and I guess from what you just said, you don't think it is.
Oh no, it's
because
not going to change anything.
it ain't going to change anything. Well, it could change. It could be a life-changing experience for the people being called out.
Yeah.
And let me just share another post. It's a repost. Chase is reposting Yonazda Lone Wolf Hill, the granddaughter of Louis Farrakhan of the Nation of Islam. And these are not his words, but Yonazda has been advocating and speaking on behalf of Native nations, recruiting for the Nation of Islam among Indians, and working closely with indigenous leaders like Chase Iron Eyes. So the fact that he is reposting her, I think, is worth noting. And this is what one of the posts of hers that he shared, which I feel is treading that line of inciting people to violence in relationship to the killing of that jogger, Ahmoud, in Brunswick, Georgia. She wrote, "What are you training for? Zimmerman's still free. 3 white supremacists that hunted and chased and executed Ahmaud is just free as ever, kicking it in Brunswick, Georgia. If someone spits on a white officer, the whole brigade is coming to their house. But they hunt one of ours, and we say, let us pray. The Holy Scripture said, faith without works is dead. James 2:14. Help me understand, because I don't want to see any more pageantry of boxing, karate, videos of people waving guns in the air, dancing to music, facepalm emojis. I'm not pushing violence, but I am calling out hypocrisy. I'm done with all these hypocrites. Period. And does that sound like she really isn't calling for violence? Because
No.
it does
Sounds very violent to me.
It does sound. And let me take you to exhibit C. Chase Iron Eyes posts on May 8th, South Dakota is going to find out how crazy our families are. 100,000 Lakota ready for duty.
Whoa.
Sounds like a battle cry.
Yep, does to me too.
Sounds like a war call. Call to battle, call to arms. Then, this post. Whether the National Guard comes makes no difference. Right now, we defend our territories forever. Any day is a good day. Wopila to the Lakota Oyate at the checkpoints. All the U.S. military vets. All the women ready to stand. As long as the council, police, and BIA agree, what can they do? What can they really do? We die defending our children or die from COVID-19.
Wow.
Don't let them seep in and pressure weak links. We are all one Lakota people, 100,000 strong. We die defending our children or die from COVID-19. Are those the only options?
I guess.
Are those the only options? That sounds so reckless to me.
Yeah.
Because calling people out during a pandemic to gather together in a crowd to go and fight against National Guard, federal police, or what have you, BIA, is putting people at risk for nothing. Absolutely nothing good will come of this. It's not going to stop interstate commerce. It's not going to work.
No.
Do you think they're going to be able to keep a highway closed?
No, they're just reliving Standing Rock and closing off the road, It's just trying to do Standing Rock 2.0 and taking this opportunity to stir up a lot of people and make it native-led and call natives from other parts of the country to come and do exactly opposite what the checkpoints are supposed to do, is keep people out, and slow the roll of the virus. That's the intent of that was like, I thought it was like, oh, that's great, but I can just see trouble coming, and trouble is there.
And finally, this is what he posted yesterday. Calling all Lakota warriors willing to make a stand. Whether they come tomorrow or any day, we're happy and ready. We are converging on all border checkpoints to support our border patrol. Pilamia to our OST police who will be there to assist us. Working together, we will send a clear message of strength and unity to Governor Noem. We will work as a united force to protect our sovereign territories. He's inviting people.
Yeah.
Okay, the whole point of this is supposedly they're going to block the roads so none of the colonizers can bring the COVID in.
Right.
Right? They're comparing the colonizers to the smallpox breed people that are, spreading a disease.
Yeah.
And they're saying they're not coming in. We're not going to allow them to come in. So you're going to gather a bunch of people together. You already have cases of COVID.
Mm-hmm.
on the reservation. You imported a spokesperson that's not from the Cheyenne River Sioux tribe, Chase Iron Eyes, to speak on your behalf, and then he's inciting violence. You're gathering a bunch of people together. I'd like to see whether or not they're even wearing masks or properly social distancing to do this.
Oh, they'll do the bandanas over their face. Also, he's calling for people that don't live there. He's calling all Lakotas, which spread across the whole United States. So he's
Jeepers,
going
I
to
never
bring
even
in
thought about that.
going to bring in people from other places to stand there in line and catch the virus or infect it and do exactly the opposite of what they say they're doing down there.
It's just it's pretty tragic. I find it kind of hypocritical and
Oh,
reprehensible.
definitely, definitely.
And speaking of reprehensible, this probably has to be one of the most ludicrous and dangerous posts I have seen from a no more masks person. The no more masks people need to get their
Masks together.
they need to get their stuff together, because you're free in this country, even though I believe I'm going to make a prediction here, and I hate being right about these things, but I make predictions and they usually come true. Not because I have some magical power, but because I can see patterns, and, it doesn't take a genius to figure out that in mid-June, where people covering the statistics are predicting a 3,000 death per day rate in America, that every single person in America is going to be triggered every time they see some, can I say butthead on the radio?
You just did.
I mean, I'm so annoyed by these folks because, as I said, they're hurting businesses. They're hurting other customers' trust in those businesses. And by middle of June, everyone is going to look at those who refuse, for the public good, to wear a mask in the stores, not when you're out jogging, not when you're out in your yard, but in the store, like the law is requiring you to do right now. They're going to be tarred and feathered. I mean, people are going to look at them with great anger and disdain, because by that point, this virus will have impacted every single American. This virus will have taken someone near and dear away from them. And they're going to see those callous people as the vectors of disease that had something to do with their sorrow. So, I am documenting all of the people right now who are going to be eating their words in a couple of months. Yes, and you should too. You're going to see a change of hearts. You're going to see a change of minds. Death has a power that very few things have. It is absolute. It doesn't play. It doesn't jerk you around. It is final. And it will change you forever. And it has a heck of a stench. Very, very difficult to get out. Here is Kevin Bain, this butthead. I'm going to call him a butthead. He's posting on Twitter, or I think this is Facebook, excuse me. This is what he posted. No more masks. Any business that tells me to put on a mask, Whole Foods on Lomo Alto in Dallas, will get told to kiss my corona beep and will lose my business forever. It's time to stop this BS. Do I have to show the lame security guard outside of Ghetto Store my COVID-19 test results? I will show him my Glock 21 shooting range results with Hornaday hollow points. pricey ammo, but worth it in this situation. They have reached the limit. I have more power than they do. They just don't know it yet.
Scary.
You're making death threats and even citing what kind of ammo you're going to use to kill a security guard, enforcing the rules of the state of Texas for shopping in a store.
Yep.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it turns out that this was no ordinary butthead. This guy actually worked at a law firm, Thompson and Knight. Can you even believe that?
Wow.
And this is what they were forced to post in a statement from Thompson and Knight. They said, "This afternoon, we learned that an administrative employee of the firm issued a threatening and offensive post on a personal social media account related to COVID-19 mask protections. This post is a complete violation of our values of our firm, including our commitment to the health and safety of the communities we serve. We have terminated this individual's employment and notified the proper authorities about the post as a precaution. We are deeply sorry for this situation. This type of post is not and never will be tolerated by our firm." So, in a form of justice of sorts, this guy's boss fired him, called the cops on him, probably for making a terroristic threat on social media. And this guy made headlines. He got fired for his threatening post. But, you know, what's really wild is how quickly this response happened. I mean, there was not any tears shed for this employee. He'd been there since 2009. This was someone well known to this firm. And they got rid of him pretty quick. No questions asked, and called the cops on him too.
Yeah.
So for any of you out there that are considering threatening people, harassing people, you talk about freedoms, then people have the freedom to choose to protect their lives. And you can't force them to take risks with their lives, with the lives of their spouses or their children, just because you feel that the pandemic is a hoax, or because you feel that your rights are being infringed upon when the other people around you are wearing masks. Get over yourself.
Really?
If people want to protect their own lives, there is nothing stopping them. I may just wear a mask for fun. It's my right to do that. Just like it's your right not to wear one. So, respect other people like you want to be respected. And once again, all of these people that are so upset about having to wear masks are the same people that believe that businesses should have a right to choose who they serve and who they don't serve. Well, you got your wish.
Yeah.
They don't serve people that don't wear masks. Okay? Don't shop at Whole Foods. Don't shop. This is
Shop
the
someplace
funniest
else.
thing. Businesses that are trying to keep their customers safe are saying, if you don't wear a mask, you can't shop in our store. Don't come in our store if you're not wearing a mask. Okay? You're not welcome to shop here. And the I don't wear masks people are like, I won't shop at your store if you make me wear a mask. And the businesses are all like,
Good.
Yes, that's what we said.
And then they're like, but
I'm going to shoot you.
yeah, I still have the right to come in your store. It's like, nope. Remember, no shirts, no shoes, no service. Now it's no shirt, no shoes, no mask, no service.
Yeah, and the businesses have a right to do that. Don't like it? Don't shop there.
Yeah, go someplace
It's
else.
simple. You can march. You can
Get stuff delivered to your home.
vote with your feet.
Yep.
And speaking of marches, nurses are planning a march. This according to an NPR article. A union representing Minnesota's nurses is planning a march to St. Paul to demand more personal protective equipment after a nurse at United Hospital, was fired for violating policy by wearing hospital-issued scrubs. So, according to the article in NPR, what happened is that one of the nurses wanted to wear their hospital-issued scrubs, saying that the reason why they are issued hospital scrubs is for infection prevention measures. And that's why they're in a hospital wearing the scrubs that are issued to them. But because of, the reduction, the lack of personal protective equipment, and people having to recycle and reuse, they have not been doing that. In a statement from Alina Health, which owns the hospital this nurse was fired from, they said that they are following the latest state and federal guidances on personal protective equipment, and they don't consider that hospital-issued scrubs to be part of the personal protective equipment, stating at the time when all healthcare systems are managing limited supplies, Alina Health has carefully weighed and adopted policies for the use and distribution of those supplies, such as scrubs for staff, Alina said in a statement. Alina Health, are you sure about this statement? It says here, all healthcare systems are managing limited supplies. Have you not heard what President Trump said? You are wrong.
Yeah. You have everything you need.
You already have all the PPE that you could possibly need. Why are you rationing it? I'm confused. The president just said. In fact, I believe on Nurses Day, one of the nurses that was in the Oval Office standing right behind the president said, well, we've been managing, we've had difficulty because of, reduced PPE. And the president is like, maybe you're having that problem, but nobody else is having that problem.
Yeah.
So these nurses are going to be marching. They're going to express their concerns to the governor. They're upset about Governor Walz's decision to now allow Minnesota hospitals to restart elective surgeries beginning today.
Wow.
After having temporarily banned them. And of course, that hospitals are losing money because that was where they made their money. All of those surgeries and procedures, which they weren't able to make anymore during the shutdown. State officials this weekend approved the expenditures of $21.5 million from Minnesota's COVID fund for gowns and or flexible spending for critical care supplies. It's estimated that would cover the cost of 3 million gowns. So we still have this problem. Whether or not people in the White House want to recognize it, it's still an issue. As you can see, here in the state of Minnesota, it's still an issue.
Yep.
And these nurses are going to be doing something about it. This on the heels of another march by nurses in Washington. And in California, they are now a vote by mail state. California's Governor Newsom has signed an executive order declaring it. So how does that affect voting? Is it improve it or make it more complicated in your opinion, Duke?
Well, there's complications, but we've had absentee by mail voting in North Dakota and Minnesota for, my whole voting life. And I voted absentee before, and so I don't see it as any different. The one thing is that a new system, you're going to have to most likely have an application process so you can make sure the ballot goes to the right person at the right address. So there's going to be some validation work to do to be able to get your ballot. I'm not sure how California's going to do it. North Dakota just did it for their June primary. I actually have not looked at it, but I knew there was an application process before you would actually get approved to send in your ballot, and they'll send you the ballot and you send it in by a certain date. So there's things to follow, but you can already do that in Minnesota. You can fill out an absentee ballot and in your home. You can get it off online. You can print it out and or get it mailed to you, fill it out, and send it to the county clerk, and you just cast your vote.
Yeah, so we will see how that turns on. I think that President Trump was not very happy about that announcement. In fact, I think he insinuated there would be some kind of voter fraud.
Yeah,
Is it easy to commit voter fraud if you're mailing in a ballot? I mean, doesn't how does that even work?
well, it could be a forged ballot. That's what they're
Ah,
talking about. But if they have a system like in Minnesota, you actually have to have a witness, and the
ah,
witness signs your ballot that they witness you, that you are you, and you filled out this ballot. So it logs. You don't got a made up witness. I think the witness also has to be a registered voter. So you
okay.
have the whole registration process happens through the mail. You don't have to be in person to get your voter registration. So that is as safe as doing a ballot. I don't know what they're scared of. I think they're scared that more people will vote. And the state better put a stamp
Well,
on
I
that.
think they think people will cheat.
Yeah. Well, they're afraid. They're not afraid people can cheat. They're afraid they can't cheat, and they're afraid more people will vote and they won't get reelected. That's what they're afraid of. That's the underlying thing. Is it's the same as doing the redoing the districts, making sure you have the voters in your district to get elected. All the gerrymandering and all this stuff that's been going on from the more conservative Republican parties, and the whole voter stuff is usually centered around them not wanting people of color to vote, them also not wanting poor people to vote, and also that it limits their ability to cheat because they've cheated in elections too.
Well, listen, um, the Trump White House is not having a good weekend. Over the weekend, we learned that in addition to the ballot that went COVID positive, there are dozens of Secret Service people who have had it and recovered from COVID
Wow.
that are currently under quarantine. And I think as many as 60 people had already had it. And there is
Really?
probably a dozen or so people in quarantine, which is shocking because you never see a single person in the White House wearing masks.
Yeah.
You always
Exactly.
see them. They're all never wearing masks. Everybody's fine
Mm-hmm.
with the fact that nobody's wearing masks. And this um, was followed up by Pence's aide having gone positive, COVID positive. Uh, Ivanka's assistant being COVID positive. And Stephen Miller's wife being COVID positive. Um, and then Dr. Fauci and the head of the FDA and the head of the CDC
Mm-hmm.
all having to quarantine. Now, today in the White House press conference, the president did say that the people from the task force have been tested. That was just a precaution that they were in quarantine, but they've been tested numerous times. They've tested negative, and they will soon be out of the quarantine. However, the it was rough. It was a rough day for the White House and the White House press briefing.
Mm-hmm.
Let me read to you from the Washington Post on how some of these things went. Most White House officials are now going to be wearing masks in public spaces on the White House grounds, a move which is new to prevent the novel coronavirus from spreading further inside the presidential compound. This, according to 3 administrative officials with knowledge of this directive issued just today. The request does not apply to offices, however, and of course, President Trump is still unlikely to wear a mask. There are some significant developments. At a Rose Garden news conference, President Trump declared that the United States has prevailed in terms of testing for the novel coronavirus.
Hmm.
Later, he walked out after a tense exchange with 2 reporters. Even if scientists do find a vaccine that is effective against COVID-19, medical experts say there almost certainly will not be enough global supply of the vaccine for several years.
Wow.
Yes, I said years. U.S. stock markets fell today as investors grappled with public health fears tied to the reopening of the economy, which I've shown you today. Looks like it's one step forward and two steps back. Fewer Americans are concerned than a month ago about someone in their family becoming seriously ill from the virus, according to a new poll. And China is now struggling to put an end to transmission in their country, with new cases reported in the cities of Wuhan and Shulan. So, one thing that made me very concerned when the president announced reopening for the month of May was that there can be no public policy that does not protect consumers and workers in our country that will lead to economic growth for the country. We may have a little spike. We may artificially be massaging the Dow and massaging the markets. But it's all smoke and mirror, folks. These aren't robots working at the Hornbachers. These are not, wooden people. These are human beings. And they will get sick and they will die. Their businesses will close. And if the closing of our economy didn't kill their small business, the reopening and reinfection, the spiking of people getting sick at their businesses, it will bring that death knell to those businesses now. So
Yeah.
it's just brutal. I was very worried about that announcement because I think that a empathetic ear, if the president spent more time empathizing with the people that have lost loved ones in America, humanizing those people and the heroes of the moment, the workers, the people that work in the grocery shops, the delivery people, our truck drivers, our first responders, and our police. If we had focus on that and make that our priority, especially in these press briefings, so that Americans' questions are answered. We are in a crisis in America and in the whole globe. We expect our leader, our president, not only to show his face, but to have compassion and to be patient in answering the many questions that we have about what are we going to do? This is a pandemic. It's destroying our business. This is a pandemic. It's destroying lives. This is a pandemic. It is changing the way that things are done in America and in the world, and it may change us all forever. So we're going to have some questions.
Yeah.
Many of us can't even sleep at night because we have questions.
That's right. And so there needs to be a dramatic change and all that. You're listening to KPPP LP 88.1 FM, Fargo Moorhead, adding local color to your airwaves.
So the president had the best economy, the lowest unemployment ratings for Latinos, for Black people. The economy was soaring. And I know that he believes that his ticket to re-election is bringing that back. And I hate to beat a dead horse, but the economy, you can take paddles to it.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to get it back where it was. Not by election time, not by next year, not by the year after that. Can we be honest and say that we're going to take some time to recover from this? We're closing in on 80,000 dead people in America. Are we so naive as to believe that some miracle can be made to happen so that the economy can be roaring again right before election so that the president can win re-election. I think that whoever is working on his team needs to tell him it's time to throw in the towel on the economy resurging to where it was. I'm not saying we can't bring the economy back. Of course, we have to. It's one of the cornerstones of what makes America great and what makes America strong is its commerce. But it's going to take time. And if we do it wrong, we're just taking one step forward and two steps back. So, this kind of press briefing and the outcome, it's leaving a sour taste in people's mouth. And I think it's hurting his poll numbers. Take a look at today's press briefing debacle.
Okay. Anybody else? Please, go ahead in the back, please.
I have two questions.
No, it's okay.
But you pointed to me. I have two questions, Mr. President.
Next, please.
You called on me.
I did, and you didn't respond, and now I'm calling on
Sorry, I just
the
wanted
young lady in the back, please.
I just wanted to let my colleague
Okay.
finish. But can I ask you
Ladies
a
and
question?
gentlemen, thank you very much. Appreciate
But you
it.
called
Thank you
on-
very much.
Wow.
That's tough. That's tough. I mean, clearly he's extremely frustrated. And I'm sure all of the stress that has, been brought into the White House by all of these COVID positive cases, how that's affecting people in the news, in the media. I'm sure it's affecting the administration. It's stressful. I get it. I understand that. Would I want to be the leader of any country during a pandemic? Hell to the no.
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody wants that job. Nobody wants that. Presiding over the deadliest, disease that's hit the planet in the last 100 years. I understand that the president and his administration's job is monumentally difficult right now. But I will also say that it is his election to lose. Even during this pandemic, he is the leader of this country. He has the ability to sway people, to move them, to energize them, to make them feel secure. And also to make them feel heard. And one of the things that people are clamoring for right now is for the president to give them answers, for the president to remain calm, for the president to acknowledge what is happening, to acknowledge we need masks. Yes, by example, by wearing one, by telling other people to wear them. You're still in time to do what's right for yourself, for the country, for your reelection. Start showing everyone the way forward and the way out. And people will never forget your leadership and never forget your compassion if you do it right. And let me just share with you that gaffe that took place today at the press briefing. It follows on the heels of, story after story of COVID positive in the West Wing, in the White House. And this, you recall that Vice President Pence was heading to Iowa for a meeting.
Yep.
And was delayed to that meeting by 1 hour after members of his team were asked to deplane after testing positive for COVID. Well, this is the meeting he went to. This is a group of 4 CEOs and food company executives, and of course the president of the American Farm Bureau. You'll notice here, if you, when you play this clip, one of Pence's team members comes out, a woman. She walks over to these folks and instructs them to remove their face masks before meeting with the vice president. Notice the motions she's making. All of these people were wearing protective masks. This was only hours after Mike Pence was told that his press secretary had tested positive for COVID. You see them there, goes removing his mask.
Yeah. Wow.
What kind of a message is this? Why would he go to that extreme? I get not feeling the need to wear the mask himself. I get going to the Mayo Clinic and feeling as if he's entitled not to wear a mask because he's the vice president, even though they had a rule that everyone inside the hospital must wear a mask. Because he didn't want to wear one, right?
Yeah.
But to tell everyone else to take it off, that is so tone deaf.
Yep.
Especially moments after the plague has been announced on your plane. See, you have to have more respect for this virus. You have to respect it.
Yeah.
Like you respect the power of death. Like you respect the power of God. You cannot sideswipe, sidestep, ignore, cover up, or hide from coronavirus or the death that it brings. And until we start taking this a little more seriously, we are going to be in hot water in America. And let me share that aside from China now having a resurgence of cases in 2 of its cities, so has South Korea. Oh, and they were doing so well. Remember the great testing they were doing?
Yeah.
Remember the great commerce they were doing? They basically didn't have to shut down because they were doing it so well. But guess what? Vox has now announced that South Korea has a whole rash of cases because their nightclubs were reopened. What they're not telling you here is that this is a big story in the queer community because these were a lot of these were gay clubs. But it turns out that one South Korean man visited 5 nightclubs in Seoul where he partied with around 7,200 people. 5 days later, he tested positive for COVID. And according to health officials, nearly 80 new cases have been seen since this man was out partying, and they're all linked back to that one night out.
Wow.
That one party night. Can you believe it? Folks, we got to be careful. Even in places where they had no new cases, where they didn't shut down, it's getting ugly again. So let's start to think about how we actually reach the end of the tunnel. How we go back to commerce, school, life, while keeping each other safe. And if I want to share to brighten your evening on a happier note, over the weekend, people were uploading pictures of their mothers and videos and all of that. This mom and her 2 children decided to make a cute video honoring mothers for Mother's Day. Take a look.
Hold on, I have to press record.
You did.
Yeah. These are my kids. Wait, I gotta fix my hair. These are my kids, Brooklyn and Hunter. What do you?
These are my kids.
Why are you making fun of me? Don't pick your nose, okay? No, it's gross.
Sorry.
These are my kids, Brooklyn and Hunter.
Don't let them wave.
Sit up straight. These are my kids, Brooklyn and Hunter. Do you guys want to say something special for all the moms on Sunday?
Happy Mother's Day.
What do you want to say?
Happy Mother's Day.
Aw, we want to say thank you and that we love you to all of the moms out there, right, guys?
Yeah. Yeah.
Come on, be serious, or I'm going to send in the one where you're picking your nose.
I wonder how many takes that took to do.
Oh my God, a lot, it looks like.
Yeah, they're rambunctious little kids, but what a blessing, right?
Right.
For all the mothers out there, I hope that you are also blessed and able to be close to your family members. If you have your kids nearby, as I said when I posted my picture with my child, give your kids a hug, especially because so many people are far away from their moms, and it's nice to have. Thank you very much for being with us on A Mexican Crossing Lines with your host, Cindy Gomez-Schempp.
And Duke Gomez-Schempp.
You've been listening to 88.1 FM KPPPLP Fargo Moorhead, where we are adding local color to your airwaves. Good night and God bless.